Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Hot Mic here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am John Rocha, joined as always by the Sneider himself. Jeff Sneider, how are you?
Hello, Johnny boy!
Yeah, man, he's going to have to bring the excitement. I'm in a hotel room, so I can't be too loud.
John, who are we kidding? I always bring the excitement.
That's true. That's a very good point. It's a very good point. Yeah, we got stuff going on at the house for the last couple of days, so I've had to get a hotel room. So I'm going to do my best. I'm relying on the internet. I've got the Ethernet cord hooked up, so hopefully we're good. But give us a little bit of leeway here on the audio and some of the lighting on the show today. But anyway, it is a holiday week, so give us even more of a break, for God's sakes. But we are here for the Hot Mic. We are live. So much to talk about. Remember, the Streamlabs and Superchats are open. A pin in the chat, subscription to the video, send in your love. We're only going 90 minutes today. So if you need a real important question answered, send in your Streamlabs and Superchat as soon as possible. But Jeff, let's not waste any time since we only have 90 minutes. Let's jump into the first one here. The Odyssey trailer dropped. This leaked, actually not dropped, it leaked online. Someone put it up. I think it was a foreign version of it that was put up here. We got some shots of Tom Holland. We got some shots of John Bernthal, and we got some shots of Matt Damon taking it easy on the sea there, and some imagery from the Christopher Nolan film. It was only like a minute and maybe 70 seconds, a minute, 10 seconds. What did you think of this trailer so far? What were you feeling about the images? What are your thoughts?
First of all, 70 seconds is plenty of time. That's what I'm always telling my lovers. I'm like, a minute 10, you should be happy with that. Let's see, John. What do you want to talk about? Are you interested in rumor?
Sure.
Are you interested in gossip?
Yeah, sure. If it's
who has a story about Odysseus, huh? You have a story? I could be John Bernthal.
John Bernthal is John Bernthal in every movie. Like, no offense, but he looked like he sounded the same in the trailer as he does as Frank Castle in The Punisher. There was no difference. Who's going to hold him into prison? What prison has ever been made or could hold this guy?
What prison could hold Odysseus? He is the greatest warrior ever. I just want to know, who is Robert Pattinson playing?
One of the gods, I imagine, right? Wouldn't he be playing one of the gods?
Is he a god? He refers to Odysseus as his master. So is he maybe a slave? Is he Crypto the dog?
Wait, you think this is Pattinson who opened the film? I think that's Leguizamo in the trailer.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's John Leguizamo. I don't think it's Robert Pattinson.
Are you sure?
Distinct voice. Yeah, well, I'm good with voices. I know voices. I think it was Leguizamo. I don't think it was Pattinson. But what do you guys think in the chat? Let us know in the chats we're talking about. Do you think it was Pattinson or do you think it was Leguizamo?
I don't know who it was. I maybe saw something online that had indicated it might be Pattinson. But either way, so I think someone was just, nervous. Like, let's hope this isn't Odysseus's dog
narrating the film.
Right, exactly. We've seen that before. I don't know what movie is emphasizing a dog lately, but yeah, dude, it looked great. I thought it looked super cool. I think it's going to get people interested in something that they have otherwise zero interest in. Okay, if you're telling me in high school that when the English teacher hands you the copy of Odysseus, if these kids aren't running to AI to have it summarized or whatever they're using these days, Cliff's Notes, I think it was Pink Monkey back in my day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no way I was fucking following or reading the Odyssey. This is the kind of movie that gets people interested in those classics.
Yeah.
It looks like a super cool way into it. Obviously amazing cast from top to bottom. I'm excited to see an entire movie shot with IMAX cameras. They're not going to spare any expense for this. The locations are incredible. They're building real boats and shit like that. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I thought so too, man. Just the energy of the trailer itself, because again, you're in the place of do I really need to see another version of the Odyssey? But there was something that you could see artistically from Nolan and how he's approaching this thing, this mixture of modern sensibility along with respecting the origins of the classic story, that I think are going to be very interesting to see. And there's about a handful of filmmakers, Jeff, that you would hand this film to currently in 2025 who you would trust to deliver an incredible film. Denis is one of them, maybe Inarritu and Nolan. So the excitement level is high here that I think he could nail it. And I like the Tom Holland, there's a stilted way that they're delivering the dialogue, which I wonder if that's a stylistic choice in terms of Tom Holland. what do you know of my father? What have you seen? Prison, you say? You know, these little things. And I'm wondering, what is the approach here with his character? But like, but I mean, John Bernthal is just, he's doing the Denzel thing. He's like, look, I'm John Bernthal. I'm going to be John Bernthal no matter where you place me. So enjoy it. But I love the bald look. I dig the bald look. Man.
He looks great. I mean, again, what I think I like about this is just Nolan pushing himself.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think any of us were expecting a sword and sandal movie.
Right.
And he could have, you know, just gone through the motions and made another big sci-fi movie or a crime movie or whatever.
Right.
This is a little bit of a different tack. And, you know, I just like that it seems like he still has this a fire in his belly.
Yeah.
Something to prove, even after winning the Oscar.
Is there anything about the visuals that kind of stunned you or made you sense that he is really like pulling out all the stops for this one? Like, is this the follow-up to Oppenheimer, a biopic epic followed by this classic Greek story epic? Is this a thing where he's moving into this stage of his career, do you sense? Like he's going to do these kinds of epic type of approaches?
No, I think he's always going to be the kind of filmmaker like who's tough to pin down. And okay. I like the shadow of the Trojan horse on the beach.
Yeah, that was cool visual.
I thought that was a really cool shot.
Yeah,
and I like that we didn't really see Damon.
Yeah, just in that piece of the ship floating. Yeah, out there in the water. Yeah. Heralding is coming.
And that they don't have to get into the cast yet. They don't have to have 30 fucking names flying at you. They just need one name.
Right.
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, and it is attached to Jurassic World Rebirth, which is out now. So if you guys want to watch it in the theater, that's where you can see it, because I don't think they're going to put it online probably officially until probably next week sometime. We will see. All right, anything more to say on that, Jeff, or shall we move on?
You have
more rumor innuendo around this thing or anything? No? Are you still
any more gossip?
Yeah, any more gossip on this?
No.
Are we looking at a 3-hour movie? It's going to be a 3-hour.
It's got to be, yeah. I assume it's going to be pretty epic. I would put this at I'm going to go 230 to 245. I'm going to go that range.
Okay.
At this point, who knows? And you know, like there were some premature reports that the Odyssey had wrapped filming.
Yeah.
It's still shooting. Pretty sure it's still shooting other stuff this summer.
Okay. All right. But let's move on to another film that's out in the summer. That's F1. F1 here is kicking ass at the box office, Jeff. We're about to see what it does in its second weekend, but people are going back multiple times. I mean, I thought about going to see it yesterday, and almost all the IMAX screenings around me were sold out. That's crazy to think about for a film like this. It is still tracking well. Now, there are rumors that an F1 sequel is already in the works on this one. When he was asked about a sequel here, Joseph Kosinski said, that's up for the audience to decide. I think we leave it on a really open-ended moment for Sonny, for Kate, for Joshua. So, yeah, I think there's certainly more to tell of the APXGP team and where Sonny Hayes goes from here, but that's not my decision. So, I mean, the way the film ends, bro, he's off to help somebody else. And so do you think the sequel would follow his character coming back? Or what do you think would happen here? And are you surprised at all that the sequel's already in the works, even though this film hasn't technically made its money back or become a big box office full success yet?
I mean,
when
they say a sequel is in the works, what does that mean? Again, this is you're seeing all these nebulous trade reports, like, so they can get ahead of, you know, some blog or me or whoever who might say the exact same thing, like. Because, you know, a sequel seems like a no-brainer, but I don't know how much a sequel is really in the works. Aaron Kruger, they keep saying, is so hard at work on Top Gun 3, then who's writing, you know, if it's in the works, I don't know, is there a writer on it already? Is Aaron Kruger coming back? If he is, he seems like he's busy writing something else right now. Can't write 2 scripts at once. Like, I think it would be several years before we saw a sequel, like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, probably. I think so too. I think it's going to be a bit. Your mic is fine now. Whatever you did to move it worked. But yeah, the situation is it's going to be a bit. But because I think people liked it, but it hasn't made like a profit yet. And so until it makes a profit, I don't think you can start talking about a sequel. Even though I know Apple likes to.
Yeah, and profitability is still going to be tough to reach here. Like again, it got its big opening, and congrats to Apple. Like, I thought it's a solid opening for an original movie like that. But now you've got Jurassic and Superman and Fantastic Four. Welcome to July.
Yeah,
that thing's gonna drop pretty precipitously. Even though word of mouth is really strong. And it's going to have the IMAX screens until Superman, right? Jurassic didn't get the IMAX screens, right?
Yeah, right. It did.
I mean, I don't know if it got some of them or what the deal is.
No, I went to get a ticket today for Jurassic World, and there was no IMAX screens available around me for Jurassic World. It was all F1. So
and I saw it in an IMAX, and I saw it like we sought it out in IMAX. I don't normally go to dinner at 5:15, but I did so that I could, make a 7:00 IMAX screening. And it was well worth it. Like, I thought it looked great in IMAX. That's the thing. People, when I talked to my high school buddies during this trip.
Yes.
And they're like, I don't really go to the movies anymore unless it's like an event, unless it's something I have to see on the big screen. And that's what F1 certainly represented in a Top Gun Maverick kind of way. And so if people are going to go out, then they want to spend the extra $3 or $4 to see it in IMAX. They want to get the best possible big screen experience because they're only coming 3 or 4 times a year now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's kind of like you and your lovers only coming 3 or 4 times a year now. What about
a year or a night?
Come on now. But the F1 situation, I mean, I know you poo-pooed it last week or shot it down, the idea of a Days of Thunder sequel that would figure. I mean, like, if you're talking about F1 sequel,
everyone wants to see it. I'm not saying, because that was the exact same conversation I had with my brother. It's like, who do you think wins in a race? Like Cruz or Pitt? Like, oh, we got to have a sequel to decide. But again, these are 2 different studios. Like, I don't really see how it's feasible. And it's kind of just like,
good point.
The audience doesn't get to just dictate that.
Yeah, I don't think this would be a Sony Marvel situation where they would loan their character to Marvel like they did with Spider-Man. Like,
because if Cruz is like, all right, I will do F1, F2, whatever the fuck we're gonna call it,
right?
Then you really can't go and make Days of Thunder 2 as well.
Right. It would have to be a mix.
Right. So, I mean, you could always work out some sort of co-pro, like with, Paramount coming in to join Warner Brothers and Apple.
Right.
But the likelihood of this happening, I don't think is real.
Okay.
It's about as real as Marvel and DC teaming up for some incredible movie that would make $8 zillion. Like, it could happen.
It could happen. We're a few years away from it. If it is.
Yeah. What's the likelihood of this?
Right. All right, let's talk about a film that's out in theaters now, Jeff. You mentioned this Jurassic World Rebirth. It is out in theaters now. Your review, I think, is up in one of your newsletters. Is that correct? This week you put up your review, I think.
I put it up last week, John, before anybody else.
Sorry. But the trades are initially reported the production budget was 180, but THR is now claiming that it's 225. And right now, with the scores, it's down like 58% in terms of the Rotten Tomatoes score. I know you don't always put a lot of stock in that, but it is an indicator. But early projections suggest a 3-day opening of 80 to 85 million, maybe 120 over the 5 days. So do you think now that you've seen the review, you've seen the reactions, that this thing might be heading towards a bit of a box office letdown overall? Or do you think it's still going to do close to $1 billion, which is what the last few films did?
Yeah, I think the floor for a movie like this is like 650, 700. Like, that's the lowest that it's going to go. I think it will probably get close to $1 billion. I don't think it's going to break $1 billion personally. But I didn't think it was going to anyways. I did, I was surprised by the 225 figure because that's a little high, like considering what the original intention was with rebooting this franchise. It was, we're going to make this a little bit scaled down.
Right.
And they did. Like, this isn't a $300 million monstrosity like the last Jurassic World or whatever. And I do think that it's better than both the Jurassic World sequels.
Yeah.
But 225 was on the higher range of things. And I completely believe it, by the way. Totally buy it.
That it is too. Okay. All right.
I mean, I always, if there's a higher figure that it's out there for a reason, and it's probably true. Yeah, like I think that Universal probably should have tried to keep costs below 200 on this.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of creature to this feature, right? You're getting a fair amount of bang for your buck. That's what I thought was the strength, was that Gareth Edwards did a good job with the action sequences.
Right.
Did you see it?
No, I've not seen it. I've seen it this afternoon. That's why I was. But I mean,
even the negative reviews, I feel like, have called out the action sequences. It's the script that's weak.
Yes. Yeah, which is ironic because that's the David Koepp situation, and David Koepp was being brought back because the scripts were weak in the Jurassic World sequel trilogy.
Right.
They
and
were
everyone, the word on the street was that, he delivered such an incredible script. We have to rush it into production and fast track it.
Right.
I think that the script is definitely the weak part of the movie. And Koepp's had a great year, right? He did write, the other two Soderbergh movies, which are easily among the top 5 movies of the year so far.
Right.
But yeah, this one, I just felt his kind of creaky old man humor a little bit. I think that the humor is the worst part of this movie.
You don't cast any funny people in the movie. Well, I guess Scarlett can be funny in SNL, I suppose. But
yeah, no, she's not funny.
I don't go to Mahershala Ali for jokes. You know what I'm saying? So
the movie is going to open lower than the Jurassic World movies.
Yeah.
But I think that's, it's because of the other Jurassic World movies that this one's opening lower. I don't think it has anything to do with like this movie or the way it's being sold. It's that, this is just the trajectory for the franchise.
Yeah, right now, as of yesterday on Deadline, they are predicting $260 million worldwide for the opening weekend. So that could bode well in the end, no matter how much the cost of this one was, as you said, lower than 300, 220. If it's 225, if it's still going to get to 700 or 800 million overall, then, it's not a big deal for it to cost that much. It's going to be curious, though, to see with the continuing strength of F1, and now you have Superman, like 9 days away from coming out, whether this thing will be able to still have legs and power through and get to its total, because then Fantastic Four comes in just a few weeks from now as well. So it's going to be a hell of a July for them to overcome.
I think there's actually a real question right now of like, what is appropriate to take my 12 or 13-year-old to? Like, I had a friend reach out and be like, hey, is F1 okay to take my kid to? And I said, yeah, like, to me, there's there's not a lot of cursing, there's not gratuitous cursing. There's not gratuitous like gore or violence. There's no, nudity. Like, I don't really see what the problem would be to take a 12-year-old who loves race cars to this movie.
There's one car accident, but
it's the same question though that parents are having with Jurassic World. Can my kids handle this, or is it too scary? There are people being eaten by dinosaurs, and then the superhero stuff, which I think tend to skews a little bit younger.
But who are these parents, Jeff? I mean, we saw all kinds of crazy shit at 10 years old and 9 years old. So what the hell? What are we getting softer as parents, for God's sakes? And we're
definitely getting softer. I mean, our parents, especially the parents before ours, maybe 5-10 years older than ours, they just let the kids run about town until all hours of the night, right? Like things now there's just a clamp down where it's like, we've got parental controls and I'm going to do this and do that. I know where I'm tracking you all the time on your phone.
It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts to see this kind of stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, take your kids.
I saw Silence of the Lambs at age 9. And maybe that's why I'm so fucked up. But
ditto. I
can't see anybody letting their 9-year-old, sitting down and watching Silence of the Lambs with them.
I saw Jaws at 9 or 10. So yeah, I hear you. That's the thing that's frustrating nowadays. Everyone's like, "Oh, what can my kids see?" It's like, look out the fucking window. They're seeing worse than that on the internet. Are you
on the news? Right? Exactly.
It's crazy. People still worried about that nonsense. Grooming our kids. Man, your kids are tougher than people think they are. All right. Well, should we move on? No, let's move on to something a little more fun. How about this? How about these two trailers, man? The Running Man trailer and Project Hail Mary came out this week. What'd you think of these trailers, Jeff? Did you enjoy it? Is this a good remake? Glenn Powell come off to you as a movie star in this? Does Edgar Wright have the right tone? And this Project Hail Mary, is it capturing the right energy a la Sean Levy's novel there? Not Sean Levy, sorry. I forget the writer's name, but who did the
Andy Weir.
Andy Weir. So what did you think of these two trailers? Did they work for you as trailers?
I needed more soups in the Running Man trailer. I needed more Matt Ramos.
Is it Matt in the movie?
I think he may be.
What?
Yeah, because studios and filmmakers have lost their minds catering to these people, completely.
Oh my God!
I think both of them look super fun. I mean, Running Man feels very much like an Edgar Wright take on that material.
Yeah.
I think Glenn is kind of the perfect person to lead it. I mean, it's really like the most dangerous game, which I've seen, multiple variations of. But with a huge budget behind it and like a lot more spectacle and a great cast, Brolin, Coleman, Domingo. I think Michael Cera looks a lot of fun here. I'm excited for this movie, and I'm glad that it is coming out this year. I was worried that it was going to get kicked to next year or whatever.
Right.
So I think that'll be really fun viewing, for Thanksgiving audiences or whatever. And then Project Hail Mary, I think that movie's going to be incredible next year. Now I got to see maybe 6 or 7 minutes of footage at CinemaCon.
Oh, nice.
So I've seen a little bit more, and I did kind of prefer what I saw at CinemaCon to this abbreviated version, even though it's an elongated trailer. It's like a 3-minute trailer.
Right.
I think it looks like a really great movie. I'm also partial to like Teacher Gosling because I fell in love with him via Half Nelson. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Good to see him back in a classroom. Good to see Lord Miller back. They haven't directed a movie since 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, 2014. 11 years. I mean,
that's fucking nuts.
They directed Solo, but they didn't let him finish the film.
Would you have said that a decade ago? Like, these guys are not going to direct a movie for the next decade?
No, especially because everyone was remember there were those rumors that were persisted for years that there was going to be a Men in Black and 21 Jump Street crossover film, like they were going to be a part of that. So there was a lot of excitement around those guys. But the Solo thing probably took years off their lives prepping for it, then making it and getting removed from it. So and
they're power producers, right? Like they produce a lot of stuff, including the Spider-Verse, which is what they're sort of hyping these guys up with. I kind of like the March date. I like that. Hey, this is an original sci-fi movie with Ryan Gosling, who isn't really like a proven guy.
Yeah,
he's kind of like in the Gyllenhaal phase, like place for me. Where like great actor, definitely a movie star, but like never really been box office.
Yeah. Like people love him, but they don't love him enough to go to all of his movies and make him a top.
And so like I think you keep this out of summer and you open it a little early in March, and maybe it's this year's Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it has the strength to go to the distance and get an Oscar nomination in 2027. Robert Meyer Burnett thinks it's going to win Best Picture.
I have to say this. I might be in RMB's corner, not necessarily win Best Picture, but judging from the trailer that I saw, my reactions up, like I was wowed by this. I know nothing of the story. I didn't even know the guy who wrote The Martian wrote it. And I was just, this is so in Ryan Gosling's wheelhouse, this kind of character, very reminiscent of The Nice Guys. Like he knows the right thing to do, but he's not sure he should be the person to do it. And you have to he has to get tricked into doing this thing. Plus having, what's her face from Anatomy of a Fall being in this, I think adds a little bit of strength to it and prestige to it as well. And their interactions back and forth and him discovering what he discovers. And then you get that surprise at the end. You're like, oh shit, now we're going to this place. But there seems to be a real kind of universality in this idea of being the unwilling hero. And I think people love that, and so I think it's got that right energy.
Right, the reluctant hero, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So
he, I love Gosling. The only thing that's throwing me off in this trailer is the alien.
People are kind of mad who read the book because they're saying that's something that's actually a surprise in the book. And the fact that they just spoiled that in the trailer, so. But would you mean the design, or do you mean the?
Just I mean, I don't really know what to expect design-wise or whatever, but I'm just hoping it's not like Spaceman, which I didn't even see.
Oh, the Adam Sandler one.
Yeah, because I got maybe a little bit of that kind of vibe for it, or even just like Elio, to be honest. Right.
Which we'll talk about in a second. Yeah.
Very, very excited for this, and again, I think that. The thing about March is like the movies in January and February typically aren't great.
Yeah.
And so by March, we're all like kind of starved for good movies again because we've already seen all the Oscar movies and everything. And I think the Project Hail Mary will deliver on that need.
I think people were surprised by The Martian, how well it did. And so this could follow the same path and end up in the conversation or in contention for the big awards by the end. Maybe not winning, but certainly in contention. Wouldn't that be a way for Lord Miller to come back after all these years, is to get a film right into Best Picture category? That's another FU for them being kicked off Solo. I mean, to me, it's like their entire career is like before and after Solo is an FU to whoever made the decision to kick them off Solo.
I mean, the decision to take them off Solo was probably a good decision from everything I've heard.
I don't know.
I think that they were in over their heads and were not doing a great job, and that's why they brought in a pro like Ron Howard to steer the ship. Yeah. And I know Solo. I'm not a big Star Wars nerd. That's why I may have actually liked Solo.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine. It was nothing great, but I didn't like. I don't think back on that movie and like, oh, that movie sucked.
It was too safe. It was too safe.
I don't. Yeah.
Your mic is clicking again. Is your phone near your mic again?
Yeah, I moved it.
Okay. For some reason it's clicking again. Anyway, let's move on to this story here. So people have been letting us know, Jeff, I'm sure the Batman Part 2 script has officially been turned in now, Jeff. Batten down the hatches. Everybody relax. There's a Batman Part 2 script that has been turned in here. What do you take from this, from the post and from the?
I take from it is Gunn going on social media on Monday and saying it's bullshit, and then Friday it gets turned in. It's like, what? Why even bother responding to that, James? If you know it's coming in 4 days from now, just so you can technically be like, well, I'm here to make Matt Bellamy look as bad as I can, and yes, it's bullshit. He was lying.
Right.
What?
It's so manipulated, man. Come on, guys. It's so manipulated. He knew, but just to kind of put it in Baloney's face, he probably told Matt, don't reveal that you've turned in the script until like 4 days till the news cycle's kind of over, and then you'll drop it just as the weekend starts so everybody can talk about it and take a cool picture and all of that. So yeah, this is all choreographed from the studios, guys. Please be aware of that kind of nonsense. But I'm happy it's turned in. Doesn't mean the movie's going to happen. There is a script, so we'll see what happens now going forward if the movie happens.
Is it a first draft, or is this something he's revised over and over and over the last few years?
Yeah. Are we now going forward with the movie? Let's find out. And what's the overall point? And what are we going to start hearing about? Changes to the script, changes to the points of view. Are we going to get close to the Batman answer? Still, no questions answered there. But Jeff, another part of this thing that's really interesting is that, of course, there have been a lot of junkets going on here around Superman as we're 9
I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, we're coming out. And of course, some people have gotten a chance to see Superman earlier and are crowing about and wear their Superman shirts and being like totally impartial and objective in their points of view.
They held the junket inside the Fortress of Solitude.
I mean, come on. Yeah, exactly. But James was asked by Greg Alba over at the Hollywood Real Rejects about the situation going on here with online stuff. And this is what he said. I do tune out most of social media, but every once in a while someone will say something. It's always the weirdest stuff. And then I go, I think I might be getting upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? And I'm like, let it go. And then Greg like dutifully nodded his head and smiled at that answer without calling it out. Why the hell would you reference a 12-year-old in India? That is such a weird thing to say. I see some people going racial with it. I don't think it's racial. I just think more it's just a weird thing to say, a 12-year-old. There are plenty of people who've been calling you out who are in this business, in this industry, on YouTube, go to these junkets, our critics, our reviewers, our pundits who have called you out. It's not some 12-year-old in India. So I just found it to be
there's plenty of 50-year-old guys
with Americans
who are saying the exact kind of stuff that you would think a 12-year-old in India would say. Well, how about this one? James Gunn, maybe don't talk about 12-year-old boys.
Yeah, maybe this is not the right.
Leave that alone. Don't worry about where they're from, how old they are.
Right.
You know, the idea that he doesn't pay attention to social media is maybe the funniest thing I've heard all year.
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen a filmmaker more obsessed with social media.
Yeah.
And seemingly the same 12 people who are at all these junkets and aren't going to say anything badly whatsoever. They're going to have zero criticism of anything.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is like these people, they're just, you know, unfortunately, and some of them are our friends, they're just not trustworthy anymore.
I said this on Christian show and people thought I was coming for Roxy. I would never come for Roxy.
Nobody's coming for anybody, but it's like, let's not be naive about what you do.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Don't
like,
ask me to take
can we acknowledge that? Can we have this conversation? Like, your job is to be a cheerleader.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, I don't know what to tell you. You either have bad taste or you love everything or like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. You wouldn't be at the junket. If they didn't think you were going to deliver a positive review and interview James Gunn in a positive way, you wouldn't have been invited.
Right. If they thought you could be fair and objective, you wouldn't be invited.
Right. They save those critics for the other situations. Their job is to promote the movie.
That's why they've seen it two or three times already.
Right, exactly. It's not a coincidence that all the people who interviewed James Gunn and all the people involved with it like the movie. It's not like, it's not like they're like, they're going to be like, oh, it's a piece of shit, but let me interview James and ask him about it, why he fucked this up. No one's going to do that. So
as long as there's honesty and transparency, John, right? I think Soups has been posting things like with a hashtag WB partner. And it's like, all right, that's fine. Like, let's just
own it.
Call it what it is. This is a partnership.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is because we are in this place where studios think that influencers have more influence than actual critics.
Right.
And I don't know if they're right or not, but I don't sense that. I don't hear that in the streets. Like, oh, I'm watching this tonight because some fucking influencer told me to. Yeah.
Scott Menzel posted this. Is of course a friend of mine from HCA, but also you know him too, Jeff. He said it's crazy how much networks and studios are now prioritizing anyone who won't criticize their titles, even those who don't have a big audience. This is so disappointing to see. And I'm not even talking about the whole influencers thing, because I honestly get that from a marketing standpoint. What's worse is that this shows how replaceable most people in the space are, especially if you don't play the game. It is all quite sad that so many people who have been in the space for decades are now constantly overlooked and not even pitched, because they rather have individuals who will always lean into the positive on every damn thing they watch. And when you see the Superman junket, every single person at that junket, and I mean every single person, is carrying water for the studio because A, they want to, and B, it helps them keep their subscribers. It helps them make money. It helps them get stroked, their ego stroked, because there's a lot of ego with people who work in this business who are pundits. All of that is being satisfied, and so every person you see being interviewed, that's an element of what they're doing, and that's why there's a reason why they're doing it. So don't get it twisted. And again, go get your bag, go make your money. But it doesn't mean you're free of criticism for the things that you're doing, for God's sakes. And to ask us to take your opinion seriously on a movie when your channel is invested on promoting the movie and making sure you're getting a lot of clicks and likes and all of the engagement for your videos, it does put a little bit of a stain on your quote unquote objectivity on the situation, in my opinion.
I mean, most of these people are told what to do. No one's like, hey, can I get an interview with James Gunn? It's the studio being like, hey, you've been chosen and you're going to talk to James Gunn. Are these people ever like, actually, I hated the movie, I don't really need to talk to him, I'm good?
None of them would turn it down.
Like it. Right. It is an access game. And it's because people want to hear from celebrities. They want to hear from James Gunn. They want to watch the latest James Gunn interview or David Cornsweet interview.
Right.
Our numbers on this episode would go up if we had a 10-minute bit with David Cornsweet in the middle of the episode.
Totally.
And we've just made that choice where it's like, we're done playing that game. We had to play that game at Collider. Like that's sort of the name of the game there.
Yes. Well, you did. I never did. I never had to play the game. I always told my truth straight down the middle.
I'd rather break news than go to the screenings.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's like Glenn Powell can pose for all the photos that he wants with Matt Ramos, but at the end of the day, I'm the one who breaks the stories about what Glenn Powell is doing, not Matt Ramos.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. And they may enjoy him more and have him on set more, invite him to more stuff. But I think at the end of the day, Glenn Powell respects me more.
Yeah, you're looking at it as a business. Right. Like that's the thing. That's absolutely 100% correct, I think, because the other side of it, you're just a glorified fan. That's what you end up becoming. I can't live with myself and do that, which is why the show is the way it is, why the channel is the way it is, maybe why we don't have 100,000, 250,000, 1 million subscribers, because I refuse to sell out that element of it all. And so to me, that's what when I look at this kind of stuff, that just stops me dead in my tracks. I just don't understand this. And these people get mad you call them out or think they should be taken seriously. It's, come on, you know what you're doing. You're an extension of the studio marketing team, and you're getting something out of it, and they're getting something out of it. Don't ask me to take it.
That's not to cast aspersion on every positive Superman reaction.
No. I don't mean that.
This.
No, I'm talking about the people who show up at that junket. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Now, Grace Randolph wasn't invited.
Wonder why that is.
But I heard she loved the movie.
Then see, I take that as authentic if she liked the movie.
Exactly. But at least she's being invited to see it.
Yes, right? True. Oh, you have not been invited.
No, I already have my tickets for Thursday. I got them on my own. But I'm not gonna kiss Warner Brothers' ass or even ask them. Like, they fucking know I exist.
Yeah. I'm seeing it Monday at 7 by the house. We'll see if I like the movie. And I'm not going in with a like people are just accusing us of going in wanting to hate the movie.
Not at all.
I want to hate the movie.
Why would I go? Yeah. Life is too short to hate watch things. I go into I click start on Netflix or go to a movie hoping that it's going to be good.
Because the last thing we want to do is waste 2 to 3 hours of our fucking lives watching a show or a movie that sucks. Right. That's the last thing you want to fucking do with your life. I got it.
Exactly, dude. I am one of Gunn's. Again, go back. I have the receipts for this. Go back. Jamie and I both.
Yeah.
We were two of the biggest defenders of Gunn.
Yeah.
We thought this was a great hire by DC. I'm a fan of the Guardians movies, or at least 2 of the 3 Guardians movies.
Right.
And here's the other thing. I've been watching James Gunn before he was directing these fucking movies. Okay? So, like, I remember interviewing James Gunn at the super premiere or whatever for Variety, or either that or Slither. I don't fucking remember which one.
Put that up on your social
I've known James Gunn since he was just hanging around with porn stars. That's what he was. That's what his reputation was.
Right.
Let's not get it twisted. James Gunn was a guy who would always be surrounded by 2 porn stars on each arm.
Yeah. But here he is doing Superman,
which is totally fine. Like, you know, like you don't. People change. You don't have to be the one thing. But like, I'm an OG James Gunn guy.
Right.
I'm just someone who also is critical of his online persona and.
Yeah.
You know, some of the decisions surrounding the Superman movie.
It's a frustrating time.
I repeat what I'm hearing. Like that's what a reporter does. It's not. I'm not writing columns over here. I'm repeating what I'm hearing.
It's a frustrating time to be an analyst right now, because it seems like the studios don't want you around. I mean, some of the critics that people respect back in the old days would get shunned by the studios now. Would absolutely be, they'd be trying to find a way to quiet their voices if they were around. If you had Siskel and Ebert now with the influencer culture, they would be absolutely shunned or silenced or pushed around to not say anything, even though they would. And so it'd be a whole different world to see there. So it's ironic that it's churned into this. And I love how these channels don't understand that they're contributing to that destruction. They're contributing to the middling of entertainment, the creation of the middling
everybody's
level.
Either stupid or willfully allowing it to happen.
Right.
They're allowing themselves to be diminished. Why do you think there are embargoes in place? You think it's not because Universal. I mean, it's like when the embargo lifts, you're not reading all 250 reviews.
Right.
Most of the people are reading the reviews of the trades.
Yeah.
They carry so much weight.
Yeah.
And they're also, great critics at the trades.
Right.
But like that's by design. It's to drown out the other voices. That's why Universal was so angry that I reviewed the Jurassic a week early, because it's like that his thoughts should have just been buried under an avalanche of 250 other reviews from bigger websites.
Right.
So why are we even hearing from this guy? He should have been silenced and muted.
And that's the frustrating part, because in essence, what they're saying is they don't want honest criticism of their work. They don't want to stand on their work. They want to trick you as the moviegoer to go into the movie theater and go see the film without reading any reviews, without seeing anything. They want to trick you because they want your money.
And they want you to feel stupid if you don't agree with the reviews.
Exactly.
Oh, you didn't like it? Well, everyone else, all the professionals loved it. So there must be something wrong with you and your taste. And that's why people are like, oh, they don't want to express that negative opinion or any opinion that falls out of line with the herd.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's people can't think for themselves these days, and they want to be told what to think. That goes across everything.
But it doesn't help. And some fans are like threatening the lives of critics, which I've seen from people. I've actually seen the threat. And so it becomes like, it's a fucking movie, you nutballs. Why are you threatening someone's life over a fucking
studios
movie?
Don't give a fuck about these movies. The studio opens it and moves on. They're on to the next.
Yes. They're on to
the day, come Monday morning, it's like, okay, we did what we could for this movie.
Yeah.
Now it's on its own. We're focused on the next one. Like people, it's
too many people are caught up with this idea of this fantasy black box theater making the one-man show that everyone's going to love. It's a fucking business. Okay. Right. The films that you love and you respect and all that kind of stuff nowadays, it's a fucking factory. Man, back in the 1920s, 30s, they were making 200 films a year per studio. They make money. This is what the inherent foundation of the business is to make money. The fact you entertain people, the fact you move people, inspire people, that's all great, and that's all a great like offshoot of it, or result of it. But in the end, these studios are about making money and staying alive, which is why they're doing the things that they're doing.
Well, I've got a little update.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hearing the Superman pre-sales are slowing down a little bit.
No.
I have some sources saying that this is looking at $100 million opening, if that. Others think
you were doubting it. You said it would open.
I have been bullish on this. I've said that this movie is going to do 160 to 175.
Sorry, the clicking is back. Can you? Okay, go ahead. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's the cord. There we go.
No, it's. You're right. It's probably the phone. I think that this movie, what's becoming more realistic, is 120 to 140.
See, you're still being bullish. If you have people telling you 100, why are you not buying it?
Because tracking is nonsense. As you know, I don't know if you listen to Jason Blum's podcast with Matt Bellany, where we saw Megan looking at a $45 million opening, and could it beat F1? And then it was 35, and then it was 25, and then now it opened at 10. So and I've been saying this both ways, whether it's too high or too low for years, that tracking is the biggest scam in Hollywood. The biggest scam in Hollywood. Data in general is the biggest scam in Hollywood. I don't trust data. I trust my gut.
Okay. All right. But is there a way to prove that? Like, can you look at the percentages, how close tracking is? Like, are they 95% accurate, 90% accurate, 80% accurate, like, what's the accuracy of box office track? Because it seems pretty accurate most of the time. It's just the times that it isn't, it becomes a big deal and a big story, don't you think?
I think that you're right, that it is fair to say that. It is generally within the ballpark, but then there are just things that it can't account for.
Yes.
And the whole algorithm is off, right? I'm sure it's taking social media into account way more. And so a movie like Megan, you may get more tweets, but it doesn't translate into actual business, right? And that's the movie I wanted to mention. We were talking about the influencers.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Like Megan 2 has 9 influencers in its cast, I think.
Yeah.
Why are we first of all, I didn't recognize any of them. I don't know. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's Jimmy the influencer. I have no fucking. It's just there's an actor I don't know, and it was probably just a cheap hire. But they actually think that these people are going to move the needle, and they don't.
Right. It's ridiculous. Look what happened. Because it lived off influencer culture and meme culture when the first one came out, right? That was also a different time. It's been a year since that first one came out. So you get this one. I know you guys think, well, it doesn't seem that long. It is long in terms of the social media cycle. And so this one coming out, the timing of it wasn't great. The fact that it was 2 hours made no sense at all. It's a Terminator 2 film, not a horror film. And then you had tried to go all through all these influencers, and none of them could move the needle to get people into the theater to see this movie. So how effective really, I think this influencer culture is utter bullshit. I think it's all bullshit. I think it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's people who are trying to create the illusion that they're really important to move the needle, when in fact they really fucking aren't. And it's about people's natural instincts. People are going to see this stuff if they want to or not. You saying something on a cute video for 30 seconds or a minute ain't going to make millions of people go see or take a chance on something. It's really rare when influencers actually influence people to watch or do or try anything. But studios and other people have bought into this as a possible marketing ploy.
And to be fair, I don't think critics move the needle really one way
not
or the
anymore.
other.
Not like they used to. Not like they used to.
It's true. Exactly. Like some people are saying, oh, well, Superman's opening is going to be review dependent, and if the reviews are great, then it's going to open bigger. I don't know if I necessarily buy that.
I think the overall box office might be bigger if the reviews are good, but maybe not the opening. I agree with you on that. I think people are going, if they're going anyway, no matter what the reviews are, but going more than once, I think is going.
The opening is about marketing.
Yeah.
Everything. The legs are about word of mouth.
Yeah. And
that really doesn't have to do with critics. It has to do with audiences.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't put any stock in any of this stuff. I use it to like back up points sometimes. Like this Rotten Tomatoes score means this, or this cinema score, backs me up on this opinion. But in general, I don't think cinema score or any of this stuff means anything.
Yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree with you. It's a different. approach to things. There's no better influencer than regular people. Nobody influences you more than regular people. Regular people go see movies, and regular people, through natural, organic word of mouth, will influence other people to go see a movie. Not some cute little 18, 20-year-old doing stupid shit, or Ramos over here. Let me tell you exactly what's going on with the Superman. It's not going to make a fucking difference, okay? It's just an illusion the studios have bought into, that these people really influence people to go and do anything. It's nonsense.
Because the studios themselves are easily influenced.
Right, exactly. Well, it's because they're either run by old people who have no idea what influencer culture is, and I mean by old people over 40 years old. Most of them don't fucking understand social.
Right. They're always asking their teenage kids, who should I cast? Who's the hot guy out there?
That's what I do. Right, exactly. And then you have the people who run the publicities who are like, they have to do the bidding of the people that are older than them and executives, and so they have to make relationships with these influencer cultures. And I know I've spoken to a lot of publicists over the years who absolutely hate how they have to cater to that demographic, because most of those people didn't get successful off legitimately doing stuff. It's all like they were able to figure out an algorithm and then jump into it and make their money. And
they just figured out how to monetize their fandom. I don't think that there's any appreciation or knowledge of film history. I think that they're open for business to the highest bidder, and if Sony came in with a higher offer for Soups and said, I'm going to pay you this to hype up I Know You Did Last Summer instead of Superman, I think he'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I think all these people are pretty blatant shills.
Yeah.
So.
And I have no problem with it as long as you own it. As long as you're okay with it, I don't care. If you're okay with being called a shill and you're okay with embracing that, I got no problem with it. It's the ones who try to pretend that they're legitimate critics or legitimate observers, objective analysts, who take money from the studios, who work with the studios. That's the stuff that I go crazy. When I posted pictures in the past on my Instagram, I never took money from the studios, because if I want to do it, I'll do it. It's fun, but I'm not going to take any money from you, because it means you're paying for my opinion. You're paying for my point of view. So I never, ever did that. I just don't understand doing it, but everyone's got to make their money in life, however they want to make their money. All right, let's get off of this, Jeff. Let's talk about this madness. What about the Street Fighter cast, brother? What is going on here? You reported on the Dasmalchian thing. Now you've got Momoa, you've got Andrew Schultz, you've got 50 Cent, you got Andrew Koji, so many people, Roman Reigns. What are your thoughts on this stuff, man? This is crazy.
I mean, clearly, Walton Goggins' deal did not work out because of money, right? He's coming off of White Lotus. He wanted to get paid. They offered him the role. He did not. He could not come to a deal, and they went with Dasmalchian. Like, anyone who's trying to suggest that Dasmalchian is the number one choice for M. Bison, you just don't know how the movie business works. I can't imagine how many people turned it down before him. Dasmalchian's great. I think he's a great character actor. Right. I don't really see him as this character, as like the big villain in a movie like this. Yeah. But I guess I'm glad he's getting a shot. But yeah, he's definitely cheaper than Walton Goggins, and they probably maybe had to pay. Like, I don't know if they always thought Momoa was going to say yes to this. Maybe they had to pay a little bit more for talent than they were originally planning to, because they got some yeses they weren't expecting. But there's two WWE wrestlers at this point, right? You saw the Cody Rhodes rumor.
Cody Rhodes is going to be it. Yeah, he's also in the Naked Gun, so he's slowly kind of doing his thing. Yeah.
I think it's a fun, eclectic cast. Again, you just want to see some people who look interesting and beating the shit out of each other, I guess, in a Street Fighter movie.
Is it going to be a mess? Is this going to be a Mortal Kombat mess?
I mean, it could be. Yeah, it very easily could be. It's that comes down to the producer and the filmmaking. Yeah, I mean, is the script any good?
I just feel like if you're in this movie, you're saying, you know what, I don't care. I mean, Momoa, you were just
Payday. Of course, it's a Payday.
You were just in a $900 million Minecraft movie. Why the fuck are you doing this? Like, I just don't get it. Like, sometimes you have to embrace your career and not do the schlock. Sometimes you have to pull yourself away from doing the schlock, for God's sake.
Yeah, but sometimes you just gotta also embrace who you are and what you are, and just and play into that. Right.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, maybe he grew up a huge Street Fighter fan, playing the game, and so it's some sort of childhood thrill for him to be a part of the movie. I mean, he's not the star of the movie, right? It's a
No, but
supporting role.
he's a big name in it now.
He's the biggest name in it, obviously. He's much bigger than Noah Centineo and
right.
Lead.
Anybody,
I mean, even Kalina Lang, who's a really good young actress.
Yeah,
it's as Chun-Li. I mean, I think that's a good hire.
Yeah,
because she's talented, but like she's not someone I've seen or want to see like get into like a martial arts fight.
Winston A. Marshall on our show spilled the tequila because some of the stuff broke as we were doing the show, and he was like, "You have to understand, Chun-Li's got to have cakes. She's got to have thick legs, thick thighs, and this actress does not have those thick thighs. So
she's
this
young.
could be a problem. This could be a problem." So I had no idea there's a.
But I'm glad they didn't just like go hire like some Chinese actress, who's like a pop star,
Right.
Exactly, because we've seen that role in countless of these movies, and it's terrible. This girl's a good actress.
Yeah,
but you're right. I don't really get like sexy vibes. She just played a high schooler earlier this year. It's a little creepy.
Yeah, possibly. Well, there's no easy way to say. Well, actually, to stay in the world of say Asian actress, but let's move on to an Asian property here. AKIRA, the film that has apparently been in developmental hell for 20 plus years. The rights are now back out for bidding and for purchasing here after the Taika Waititi movie finally went up in flames over this. So, Jeff, they did a pretty detailed breakdown of how long the journey has been to try to put this in live action. Why all of a sudden is it done, especially with the anime blowing up again, manga being huge again, like it's all over streaming and social media. Why would these rights now all of a sudden go back up? Why would they let this happen?
I mean, it's all about what's in the contract. I don't know how long the last deal was. It makes sense that Warner Brothers would let the rights lapse. They're probably expensive rights, and there's no real plan to do anything up there with it right now. It's probably just given where we are culturally, like you need to have the all Japanese cast. And
right, yes.
If I'm Warner Brothers, I'm not betting $100 million on an all Japanese cast.
Maybe I don't think it'll sell now. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Shame.
Sorry if that makes me racist.
No.
I think it's a good business decision that to acknowledge, yes, that you can't make this movie with white people these days.
Right.
You have to do the Japanese. And if you are going to do Japanese, then let's just not do it at all because it's too expensive.
And just like a typical studio, they actually did consider that. I think they were going to make it New Manhattan instead of New Tokyo, and it was going to be they were going to be moving in white.
Garrett Hedlund. It was going to be Kristen Stewart.
Right.
I think this is probably just a property you don't touch. Like these are good rights to have if you have the right take and the right filmmaker. But
maybe this goes the Godzilla -1 route, Jeff, where like it goes back to an Asian director who does like an 80 million AKIRA that comes overseas and is a big sensation here.
How much was Godzilla -1 though? I don't think it was 80 million, right?
That was the budget, was 80 million.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty healthy budget.
Wasn't the creator 80 million?
The creator was 90. Yeah.
90 million.
I thought for some reason Godzilla -1.
Godzilla -1 was the 15 million.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's how you make AKIRA.
Even though, right.
You don't maybe do it through the American studio system, but you give it to that -1 director and you say, here's 25 million.
Right.
Go make an AKIRA movie. 40 tops. But, when they're talking about $90-100 million, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Thanks for correcting me, guys. Yes, 15 million. I appreciate that. Yes, 15 million is what the budget was.
It was 10. No, 20. Budget was 15. Thank you, guys. I didn't. When you said -1 was 75 or 80, I was like, I don't think that's.
I know you were right. I was confused with the creator.
That's how you would have to do AKIRA. I don't think you can do a 100 million version of that movie.
I don't know if you could do the special effects for 15 million, but I don't know how they work things in Japan, but it could be interesting to see if they make that happen.
Yeah, but think of like Chronicle. What was Chronicle? $10-20 million. Like there are special effects in that movie.
Yeah,
there are ways to do it cheap, especially with AI. That's the whole. I know everyone. No one wants to use AI. I don't support AI, but like it is an inevitability, and that is what it's going to affect. It's going to make the VFX stuff cheaper.
Yeah, those days are over.
May not look as good, but
yeah. Well, look, Josh Trank did Chronicle, and Josh Trank could use a hit. So I don't know. Maybe that could be it.
You should do Chronicle too.
Sure. I think. Could you get Michael B back for the sequel? He'd have to be the EP.
You'd have to.
Be the writer. Your boy Max might have an idea for a sequel. You know, Dane DeHaan's not doing much. All right. Well, anyway, let's move on to this. What are your thoughts on this, Jeff? This is supposedly the three people they're looking at for James Bond here. Jacob Elordi, Tom Holland, and Harris Dickinson. Do you like any of these choices? I have to say, if it's not Harris Dickinson, I don't know if I'm excited. What do you think? Do you think Elordi is more of the choice here?
This is 100% fake news. This is not real. This is something that the trades, someone at Amazon just, maybe we're looking at this person, and this. This is just not true. There's no list.
Okay.
Villeneuve is not looking at anybody. He's looking for a writer. Give me 3 faces of writers that he's talking to. Casting is a ways off. Tom Holland, okay? I take bigger dumps than Tom Holland.
Whoa, what's wrong? Wait, that's when you go too far. I gotta know what that means.
He's 5'8". He's not James Bond.
Listen.
Make him Jason Bourne.
Oh my God.
James Bond, I don't know how many times I have to say this.
Okay.
He's Peter Parker. He's Spider-Man. These are fundamentally different characters. I don't care how good an actor you are.
Okay.
He is not going to be cast as Spider-Man. So whoever told Tatiana Siegel that at Variety, they're either pulling her leg, or Tatiana, like, how does Tatiana Siegel even run that? Like, if you are someone as experienced as I am in all matters of casting, that wouldn't pass the smell test. You would be like, you're kidding me. You are joking right now.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did.
Not a chance that happened.
When I heard the names, I was like, this is the most generic, boring choice of names that you could for James Bond.
I don't love them. Harris Dickinson is going to be very busy with the Beatles stuff.
Oh, right. Exactly.
I mean, I don't really see it either.
Yeah. It's got to be someone that you're like, whoa.
Again, it's a matter of, are they going to go with a recognizable star?
Right.
And I know we said Elordi is too tall, and I do think that. I think Elordi is the most likely out of anybody on this list. Also because he may be the most limited as a dramatic actor. Not that he's a bad actor, but maybe the most limited. So I think Elordi is the most likely of these three, but I don't think that any of these guys are great calls. I think Theo James is the way to go. I think Nick Holt is a better choice, frankly.
Oh, interesting.
But there's also just a world of people out there. We don't need to cast from the same 12 people. There's so many talented, good-looking young guys out there. Someone has to have a better James Bond vibe than fucking Harris Dickinson.
I mean, Griffin Schiller, my boy at FilmSpeak, suggested Damson Idris. I retweeted that. I was like, I love this idea. I think I coming out of F1, I didn't see Black Panther, but I kind of saw some James Bond. I would be down with it. I don't know if they'd make a chance now.
I could see him before Tom Holland.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And again, that's just a matter of is James Bond? Does it matter? Like, is the name James Bond big enough that you don't need to have a huge star? Not to say that Damson Idris, by the time they make this movie, couldn't be a huge star. He's well on his way after F1. I do think that people really liked him in that movie. I liked him in the movie.
Me too.
I don't know. I don't know if Amazon's going to pull the trigger on a Black Bond.
Right. I don't think they will nowadays, even though I think they should. And I think Denis, of all people, would totally do it. But I don't know that Amazon would necessarily, especially because of who runs Amazon.
And this is obviously an uncomfortable conversation, but like, I do think that it is something that Hollywood people take into account. It's like, there's the Damson Idris. He is black. And then there's Aaron Pierre.
Oh, lighter black.
Who is a light-skinned black with blue eyes. And I do think that is more likely than someone who is really dark like Damson Idris.
Colorism is a legitimate thing in Hollywood and casting, and certainly people of color and black people in their communities have called that stuff out when these movies have come out, or like the fact that they were looking for a lighter skinned Storm. Like a lot of pundits and nerds were really upset about that because she's African. She'll be black, dark black. And why is there a fear of dark black? But then you get, like Lupita Nyong'o. You got so many great actresses that are, of dark. Jodie Turner-Smith. They radiate that. You're like, Yeah, but it's like, but it is. Hollywood gets nervous and like, well, what's the
when you're casting Joshua Pierce in F1?
Yeah,
I don't think you're worried about colorism.
Right, exactly.
Okay, when you're casting James Bond, I do think that it factors into things.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Sadly, it's not that we advocate it. It's just sad that it's the truth. All right, we got to get to this story real quick, and then we got to get to the questions. I know, Jeff, we got to go in 30 minutes. So this Elio stuff broke this week from the Hollywood Reporter. They went inside behind the scenes on Pixar's film, and it really exposed some of the thinking and decision-making process behind the scenes in making the movie, and how much the original director Adrian Molina's story was a queer-coded story with Elio having kind of showing coming of age, because he's a queer filmmaker. He wanted to kind of show what his experience was like coming of age as a young kid who has some queer tendencies here. And it was changed. America Ferrera left the project when the Molina left the project as well, or was taken off the project. These other two directors came in, one of them who did Turning Red, and changed it to a much more generic story. So it was an interesting THR article that exposed what was going on here behind the scenes. Ryan Gajewski wrote it. But I think it also said volumes about Pete Docter's leadership, which now finally I'm ready to say is kind of a crap fest, to be honest with you. What were your thoughts coming out of this article?
I certainly, for all the hugs, unwanted hugs that John Lasseter gave, I certainly think he's a better leader than Pete Docter. Pete Docter is a filmmaker.
Yes.
And this is the thing. Like, and it's something I've never understood across so many things. Like, dude, you're a filmmaker, a natural storyteller. Why do you need to be managing hundreds of people at a studio?
Yeah. And the direction of a studio.
It's just like, these are two different like parts of the brain. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. But you know what else doesn't make sense to me? And you can blame Pixar leadership for this, for allowing it to happen. Doesn't make sense to tell your autobiographical, queer-coded story in a $150 million animated movie for children. You want to tell your fucking queer-coded story? Go make an A24 movie for $5 million.
Why? Why do you say that? Why?
I think it's absurd. I think it's absurd. Dude, queer-coded Pixar movies? What are we doing here? What are we doing?
You were turned on by women by 9-10 years old. What the fuck is the difference? Why do we have to make an abhorrent thing out of homosexuality? Kids at 10 years old, they're aware of their...
I love the gays. I love trans people. It doesn't mean that we need to make $150 million Pixar movies with them as the lead character.
We're doing 500 million movies that are focused on straight white kids, or straight kids rather, all the fucking time. Why can't we do a queer? We see.
Okay, well then do one. And look, how did it perform, John?
Well, they didn't go queer coded, so I can't tell you how it performed. And that's the point of the article. Is at the end they have that last quote where it's like, "Well, I wonder how Pixar thinks now because they made all these changes to this unique story, and they ate shit, and they shit the bed with this particular film. If they had gone with Molina's original vision, it might have made a lot of money.
If this kid was what, I don't understand. Like, if there was a poster of a guy in his bedroom, then this movie would have made more money.
I'm saying had no idea. The knocks on the movie is that it's generic. And what would have not made it generic is to have seen a queer-coded approach to what it's like to be a young kid who's having these feelings and then dealing with love of space and all of that mixed into his upbringing. And it would have spoke in a universal way to what we all do. Being attracted to men or being attracted to women, gay or straight or whatever, like it's all the same. It's all the same. It's only bias that turns a queer-coded thing into something negative.
Okay, well, bias exists. It is real. Very real, particularly in this country, and that is why that is why they don't make those movies. They don't make gay coming of age movies for $150 million. Can you name one other $150 million gay coming of age movie?
I mean, right off the bat, I'm not really the biggest expert on gay cinema, so I don't know. But
it's tough to play if we had done this, it could have done this, because you're never going to know, right?
I mean, Talented Mr. Ripley, he's totally gay the whole film. So what's the fucking issue here? You know, that made a lot of money. It's how you present it. It's how you present it. And I hear you, but I think you're right. I think there's an element to what you're saying is the truth, is that the society nowadays, the way it's been turned, people would have absolutely buried this film because you have these anti-woke fuckers in our space, people we know with high-pitched shrills and screams who are crying about it. I mean, one of them hosted a show where he was like, the communiverse, they're calling it communism. They're not even trying to hide it. Grow the fuck up. It's this kind of nonsense that you have to battle through in order to get to people who want to watch this stuff.
I don't care if a 9-year-old animated character likes pussies or dicks, John. There's no story here. That's why I didn't see Elio. What is the story that they're selling me?
Well,
some generic kid on his space adventure.
Exactly. That story.
But having a poster of a man in his bedroom doesn't suddenly make me want to see the movie.
But that you're reducing it to one moment, and there was much more that I think
queer coded. Why the term queer coded?
Yeah,
is like should not be anywhere near a synopsis for an animated Pixar movie.
That's nonsense. I think it's absolutely viable to
make it queer. Make it queer.
We see straight coded all the time.
Coding.
Well,
this is like this modern terminology of just like regular things that don't need a label. Queer coded.
That's fair. I think that's fair to remove that from but then people will be like, why'd you try to hide it? Disney tried to sneak us by. There's no winning when it comes to anything with LGBTQ plus because there's already an army waiting to pounce on anything that's related to LGBTQ plus.
Dude, if Buzz Lightyear was suddenly attracted to Jimmy Lightyear or somebody, Jimmy Astronaut,
right? But look how mad
if it's still in the Toy Story universe and world, I don't like that movie's going to be amazing because those characters are great and the world is great.
I don't disagree with you, but look how mad they got with the kiss in Lightyear. Like people went crazy about it.
Lightyear sucked. It had nothing to do with a gay kiss.
I'm just saying, look how much people got upset about that shit. And
people love getting upset about shit, dude. Yeah, like what, dude? Lightyear was bad.
I know. I'm not saying that Lightyear was good in some. I like the film, but I'm not saying that was the reason people hated it. Was because of the gay stuff. I'm just saying people got upset about that shit. So imagine if you did a whole movie about that shit. That's what I'm saying. There's an element of truth to what you're saying when you're looking at it as an analyst of how people might respond to it. But for me, coming from a different place of like, well, take a chance, do it fully in this picture. What happened was Pete Docter, to me, this exposes that there's a fear of doing anything. The fact that they're trying to shave down the environmental approach to stuff, the fact they kicked out the transgender storyline from the baseball thing, the win or lose. It just speaks to a fear that all these studios are trying to right wing this shit. Sherry Redstone just settled for that bullshit. They're all trying to right wing you can't have a divorce now.
Why is environmentalism a right wing issue? Like I don't want to see him like Wall-E wasn't. I don't love Wall-E. I let you have it in the draft. I'm not a big Wall-E guy because I don't give a fuck about environmentalism and the themes of environmentalism in the movie. Give me characters. Give me a story.
Well, he had a character.
Give me dialogue. Yeah, there was like no dialogue. All he said was Eve. I mean,
I'm just saying
it is Pixar's fault for allowing this project to get so far down the road.
Do you like
they never should have done this in the first place. They shouldn't be making queer coded movies, shouldn't be making environmentalism movies, and they're suddenly realizing this because that's not what people are going to the movies for. Bob Iger's right.
I think
these are message movies. When you say coded, environmental, these are message movies.
You didn't give a fuck about message movies when they're making it money. I'll tell you that right now, which is Disney's fucking legacy. They've been doing that since their inception. Their message movies. What are you talking about? You're crazy. Sometimes I think you know.
There's nothing political about Toy Story, so I don't need anything political in these new Pixar movies. Just focus on telling good stories. Don't focus on issues like being gay or the environment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. We got that squared away.
This is not what 6-year-old boys want to see.
And well, maybe not you. I certainly enjoyed that stuff growing up on that stuff. All right. Anyway, let's move. I think we're done with that, right? Because we spent a little bit of time with that. So real quick, because we got to jump to the questions real quick. Your thoughts on Oppenheimer? Your thoughts on Cameron's words on Oppenheimer? He said that it was a cop-out that Nolan didn't show the results of the bomb. Do you agree with that it was a cop-out?
Yes.
Okay. That's it. That's it.
It was. I didn't like the end of Oppenheimer, and I do think that it was a cop-out.
Okay. All right. And one last thing, what do you think about? Well, actually, we'll get to the questions because we're running out of time because I know we got a limited amount of time here. So let's get to it. Here's the first question: are they looking for an under 30 Bond and origin story?
No idea.
Okay.
And anyone who says that they know is a liar.
There we go. That's probably a fair point. I am too fly camp. Jeff, any confirmation on Kenobi season 2? Say it ain't so.
Read the next newsletter.
Oh, there you go. Check the newsletter, everybody. I am too fly says BVS made $874 million. Will Superman surpass that? Well, I don't think so. Do you think it'll make more than $875 million?
Starting to think no.
Yeah. I think it's going to underperform. Come kill me. Connor Przalumski says, glad to see that Nolan seems to have gone with American accents for the Odyssey. I don't know if going with ancient Greek accents is the way to go for audiences. LOL. Well, I'm certainly. What about a New York accent? Apparently, that's okay in ancient Greece. What are your thoughts?
I'm with you. I don't need foreign accents.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what. Oh, sorry. There we go. Take the camera. All right. Jay Barrett Mash. Rocha, that joke about Jeff's lover was savage. Jeez. Are there any upcoming under the radar movies that I should be on the lookout for this year? Jeff's better at that kind of stuff than I am. Jeff, have you heard anything?
We got 2 trailers this morning. The Relay trailer starring Riz Ahmed, Lily James, and Sam Worthington. That is a great thriller with a really interesting hook. Don't know if it's queer coded. Forgive me. And then there's She Rides Shotgun with Taron Egerton. That got a trailer today as well. I think I read that book a couple months ago. I thought it was great. Looking forward to that movie.
Cool. There you go. Doug Developer says, least favorite Nolan film. How many cowboy hats? Probably Dunkirk. But although, I mean, I give it 3 cowboy hats because I know visually it's an incredible film. I just felt nothing watching that movie. Well, what about you, Jeff? You have a least favorite Nolan film?
Probably Batman Begins. Batman Begins is overrated.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a comment.
That's not a great movie.
Really? Wow. Well, there you go. I swallow. There you go. Thanks. You got it through. Congratulations. Michael Bay returning to Transformers means so much to under 30s. We love the trilogy. It's our childhood. Bring back Megan Fox and John Turturro. Yeah, Jeff, I was going to talk about it, but since this question gets there, what do you think about Michael Bay coming back to Transformers? I think it's a smart move. What do you think?
It's a smart move for Transformers to bring him back. I think Michael Bay should be able to move on and do something else. He needs to get back to making some of the 90s action movies that he made a name for himself on. So no, I don't like this for Michael Bay, but they are a match made in heaven, I suppose. In that franchise.
I think it's time. He needs a hit and they need a hit. So with the Transformers, so it makes sense, but it doesn't mean it's going to work out. Let's see here. Robert J. Quinta. I've seen Superman and it was absolutely incredible. Best movie of the year. Paid sponsorship by James Gunn and Warner Brothers. So, Robert. Samo says, thoughts on the Old Guard 2. Have you seen it yet? Jeff, it's getting terrible reviews, like 37% or something like that. Have you seen it yet or not?
Not surprised. The original Old Guard wasn't great. It was like one of those watchable Netflix movies that you'll at least click on. This movie wrapped 3 years ago. So
I feel bad for Uma. Man.
It's been a long post-production process. I have not seen this movie yet, and I am in no rush to do so.
Neither have I. Alan Smithy, what about Aaron Pierre from Rebel Ridge for Bond? He's British. Sure, a lot of people have been suggesting him, Jeff. And certainly he slides into that category. You talk about lighter-skinned guys. He absolutely is a lighter-skinned black man. So could be possible.
I think he's on the right level, too. I mean, especially by the time Lanterns comes, like if they are looking for something of a name, he's a recognizable, but not so big. I don't. Since when did they start, casting major stars as James Bond?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Owen Lanning says, everyone talking about Superman, but man, Lanterns is the thing that's got me most excited with DC. That show sounds awesome. Yeah, ground-based True Detective type of show with Kyle and Aaron Pierre there. So yeah, Jeff, I mean, everyone is focusing on Superman. It could be it could be that his TV stuff is where he's really going to shine. Creature Commandos, Lanterns. What are your thoughts on
this? Creature Commandos, what's shining?
Good series.
I'm looking forward to Lanterns, but I like True Detective type stuff. I like a mystery, and so the idea of like one of those crime series where we get 1 or 2 every single month from every streamer. Yeah. One of those series done with a bigger budget and some like cool special effects and set in the DC universe. That is an appealing idea to me.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that's going to surprise some people only because I know a little bit more about Lanterns than I should.
Ooh. Surprise in terms of good or surprise in terms of bad?
I mean, I like the surprises from what I've heard, but I don't know if everyone will feel the same way.
Is it going to rock the fandom? Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know I don't understand the fandom, so I don't know what would rock it and what wouldn't. I just know what seems like a cool idea to me. Yeah. If you applied what I've heard about Lanterns to just any season of True Detective, I think that would be an interesting twist.
Ooh, okay. Max Law says flashback to Finstock interviewing Glenn Powell for EWS Press. Now Glenn is huge in Hollywood, and how is Finstock doing these days? Hear from him at all? Well, listen, just because you guys don't see Finstock doesn't mean he isn't doing just fine with his businesses, his multiple revenue streams or whatever. So I always hear from Christian that he's doing well. He's just busy all the time.
I'm crushing it, dude. I saw him at Riley's 50th birthday, and he looks great. He's stylish as ever.
Yeah,
just radiates sex and success.
There you go. Dennis Hoffman says Chronicle 2 script Max wrote is wild. Also, Hire is good too. He writes fun scripts.
I mean, that's been a problem with a lot of writing and listen, a lot of the movies that were made from Max's scripts, which I haven't read, were bad, ended up being bad movies.
Yeah.
But can also be a function of like when you're writing for yourself and you're writing for a reader, right? Like I think that Tarantino is someone who, I mean, he writes for himself and they're great reads, right? But like it's a playbook for him to direct, right, not for someone else.
Right.
He understands it. And so maybe some of the stuff that Max has written has been lost in translation by directors who maybe don't know how to do it justice. I've heard good things about Deeper, the script that Max wrote.
Right on. Maybe you find that director.
I asked Max to come on, by the way, and he laughed and said he'd think about it.
Why won't he come on?
Because he's promoting. He has a Superman movie opening this week.
Oh, right,
as well.
Tim says not a film, but Glee did a good job with LGBTQ. Listen, there's a lot of good films. Birdcage made a shit ton of money when it came out. It's about how you do it. It's about how you.
Who you're selling it to. When you're selling it to 6-year-olds who don't give a fuck and aren't thinking like that.
You don't know how they're thinking. You don't know how gay kids think. What is wrong with you? You can't speak for gay kids.
A lot of
people probably masturbating at 8. How can you say what gay kids are thinking about, for God's sakes?
Listen, I think there's a lot of kids who maybe knew that there's something different about them when they were kids. And then there's a lot of gay people who don't realize that they're gay until they're old enough to start having those kinds of feelings.
Yes, agreed.
And so...
but if you're going to promote me straight stuff, then don't cry when we promote LGBTQ stuff. I don't see that's an issue.
It's an issue when it costs $150 million and it's aimed at children.
Why? What's wrong with being gay?
There's nothing wrong with being gay, John.
That's what I'm saying. So what's the big deal? So if you saw, but you would have probably no problem with a $150 million movie about a 10 or 11-year-old kid with like.
John, you're sitting there going, they should be making Beauty and the Beast, and Beauty should be a boy.
Sure, why not? What the hell do I care?
I can tell you why, because that's a terrible idea.
As long as you do a good movie, I don't give a fuck. Just like you said, as long as it's a good movie, I don't give a fuck. I bet you would have no problem if it was a 10-year-old kid looking at a picture of Megan Fox in his bedroom. You'd be like, yeah, that seems normal. But that's because that's your experience. Anyway,
you're right, John. That is my experience.
I'm just saying.
I wish you could run a studio and remake these Disney movies where fucking Sleeping Beauty is a boy.
Okay.
And the boy's just waiting to be kissed by the prince. I would love to see how that movie does in the name of equality.
I hope so. What would mean the name of equality? I want to make a good film. Alan Smith says James Cameron announced that he wants to make a film about a real man who survived both Hiroshima and Nagasaki called Last Train from Hiroshima. No one mentions this when addressing his comments.
Because he wants to show flesh melting off people's faces like in T2.
Yeah. But that wasn't the point of Oppenheimer. That's the thing that I think people who get upset. And I take your point, Jeff. I know you agree with Cameron's comments, but I didn't find it to be a cop-out because it wasn't about that. This was about something else. If it was about the bomb, only the bomb, the whole film, then okay, something else. That's a different situation. But this was about his journey, and it was much more of exploring his things and his struggles and what he was trying to accomplish, right? And what it led to and how it destroyed him. So I think the film addressed what it was supposed to address. I get why people are upset about it, but I didn't have an issue with that.
I mean, when people are upset, I'm not upset about it.
Well, fine, called it out or whatever.
This movie's lacking something.
If I made a film called Hiroshima and I didn't show what happened, then okay, fine. Simon Section says Batman Begins is overrated. So we're there. You've hopped over my gate, broke into my house, and my puppy won't stop barking. Now, where did I put my sledgehammer? Batman Begins gave me a new hope in the comic book films. Yeah, a lot of people love Batman Begins. A lot of people love it.
The Dark Knight blew that movie away. No one talked about Batman Begins once The Dark Knight came out.
That's true. That's true. But no, it's the most recently you've seen people push back and say like Dark Knight's not even a Batman film. It's Batman Begins more.
Dude, all that Ra's al Ghul shit with Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
None of that works.
You tuned out on that.
None of that works.
C Black said F4 and Superman box office projections. We've talked about it. I think Fantastic Four is a shot at $1 billion, but probably closer to 800. Superman, I think, might underperform. I think Superman is 700, 750. What do you think, Jeff?
I've still got Superman beating F4.
Okay. So you think $1 billion or 900, 800, 900? Where do you see F4 top?
I think 850 to 900, and I like F4 at like 750 to 800.
Gotcha. Okay. Any Terminator news? Edward Magana wants to know. T2 is amazing.
No.
Okay, nothing with Edward Furlong screaming. All right,
He's not looking so good, Eddie.
Yeah, well. Let's see. Tim says, I can't stand Gunn's type of humor. Reason why I don't like Guns of the Galaxy. I see a lot of his style in Soups based from clips and trailers. I'm not a big DC guy either and didn't watch Snyder's DCU. Is it fair coming into the movie? I'll probably not like it. Well, I think you can have your ideas when you go in, but if you stay open-minded and then you have an authentic reaction to the film, there's nothing wrong with going in thinking you might not like it. I mean, I've gone in with my arms folded or my eyebrow raised for certain movies. I'm sure Jeff's done the same thing. And then you watch it, you're like, oh, this wasn't bad. Right? No? Yes?
About what?
Okay, never mind. Samuel says, hey, y'all, thoughts on more of these film critics like Chris Gore being reactionary film channels like Critical Trigger and Neurotic? Why do you think Chris took that turn? Also, John, your channel is so good. You should be at 100,000 subscribers. I agree, but I don't chase it quite like they do. But yes, Jeff, what do you want?
John's channel is great. You should all subscribe. Hit the button right now.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, I like Chris Gore personally, but I certainly think that, what he's doing is he's catering to a certain fan base.
Yeah.
And that's been proven, like that's where the money is.
It's financially, yeah.
Because no one else is catering to that fan base.
I know quite a few people are now with Nerdrotic, Critical Drinker, and then Tyrone Magnus, who apparently blocked me.
These are all like weirdos on YouTube. Like Critical Drinker is not like someone who was like came up in the community.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying. Chris was someone
like the whole community is all thinks alike and has a hive mind. And Chris was the one who was like, I'm going to do a pivot and, talk to the angry young men out there.
Right.
And the MAGA crowd or whatever. And I think it, works well financially for him.
Right. And he may be legitimate. His feelings may be legitimate. I just think he's got, sometimes his points, I'm like, R&B did that for initially. And then R&B now is kind of calling out Trump, which I appreciate that there's consistency.
There's a lot of performative elements to what we do. But Chris is an OG.
Nothing performative here. Fredtastic 314 says, "Hey, hot Mike, neither. Getting ready for work just want to drop some support. I enjoyed Jurassic World Rebirth. Definitely going to see it again. Also, great job to Jeff on the newsletter. Yeah, Jeff, where can they subscribe to your newsletter?
TheInsider.com. Yeah, I'll have those Lucasfilm updates for you. There's breaking news here, John.
There is. You want to do it now, or you can do it on your newsletter?
No, the breaking news right here. Apparently, Neil Druckman is exiting the Last of Us series.
Wow.
On his next Naughty Dog game.
I guess that season 2 really kicked him in the ass, man.
He's taking a back seat on the HBO series effective immediately. This is per the Ankler.
Oh, is that so? Does that mean Craig Mazin is gonna take over fully now to be the sole showrunner for?
Yes, it does seem like that.
All right. I like Craig Mazin as a showrunner. I like Chernobyl. So, all right. I got no negativity on that. I think
I don't watch the show, so I don't give a shit.
Fair point. Samo says, thoughts on James Cameron calling out Nolan for not showing the Japanese bombing aftermath in Oppenheimer? We talked about that. Thank you, Samo. Shermanator also asked about Terminator 2. We talked about that. And Kurt says, hi, Jeff. Have you got any DC updates? That's our last question for right now.
No, it's everybody's on vacation. It's been pretty slow.
It's true.
And I've been on like a little semi vacation these last week or two. So
yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell. I will pick it back up on Monday when I am back in LA.
Usually I get 3 or 4 newsletters and not some rom-com thing. Usually it's a big, juicier story. So I know it's been slow. Green says, why entertainment journalism over other writing careers?
Just fell down the rabbit hole, man. I didn't plan it this way. It just happened. Certainly would not have maybe pick this. But I've always been drawn to entertainment journalism. Like,
Right.
when I was 12 years old, reading about the development of the American Psycho movie. That was the first movie that really piqued my interest from a development standpoint. So, maybe it was always fate.
So at 12 years old, you were good with serial killer coded movies, is what you're saying.
Serial killer coded, yes. And yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up there, Jeff, because I know you got to go. We got to go. And of course, it's holiday about to start the weekend. So hope
Edgar, no new Nightmare on Elm Street news.
Oh, nothing there? Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. Edgar Magana there. All right. Yeah,
nothing on Freddy.
All right.
Yeah, have a great 4th, John. I'm headed down the Cape tomorrow morning to hang with my boo-boos, my nieces.
Nice.
You can follow me at the Insnider and subscribe to the newsletter at theinsnider.com. There's going to be good stuff. So, I think the next post will be looking at the top 10 movies from the first half of the year, which, trust me, my list doesn't look like anybody else's fucking list out there. Right. It's all sinners and, God, no, my list is totally different. And then I'll have some early Oscar predictions based on some buzz that I'm starting to hear.
Ooh, nice. Smithy asks, is there a show tomorrow? No, Smithy, this is our only show for the week. But starting next week, we will start going to 2 shows.
We'll be back on the PT thing. We'll return to normal time.
Yeah.
We get my schedule back. Everything will be dandy.
Yeah, and that first show of the week will be kind of a segment-based show, and then we'll do news-based show like we do normally on Thursday. So that's the approach there. C Black says, any Doomsday news while filming is ongoing? Anything? No. Nothing. All right, there we go. All right, as for me, you can follow me at The Rocha Says, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Please subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts on everything. Leave your comments down below as well. And hey, I'm gonna start doing more shorts. So if you guys are, as you're watching the show, think of a time. Do you think a time code that would be good for a short? Put it in the comments, and I will look at it and hand it off to the gentleman who's going to be doing that for me. So please send that in as well. And remember, we are a podcast, so subscribe to the podcast. Take care of yourselves. Have a great July 4th. Be safe. Keep the pets away from the fireworks. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of The Hot Mic. Peace. Until then.